Do track and field spikes cause injury? Yes. You can click off the video if you want. No, but stay because I do want to yap about this. I've actually been meaning to make this video for quite some time. I purposely didn't want to make it and then release it because you had nationals and everything, which, by the way, congrats to all the national champions. There were like so many guys, like there were so many people, so many like 19 and 20-year-olds that are out here breaking world records and stuff. So we're definitely getting into some My Hero Academia quirk polarity, whatever the hell they were talking about in that anime. But yeah, no, it's that was insane. But maybe I'll talk about that in a different video. But today I wanted to talk about primarily the the recent ongoing lawsuits between Puma and these three former athletes who we're not going to name. If you need to know, go look it up. I might attach like a news article, whatever. I don't know. Basically, and it started out with one athlete. She was accusing Puma of providing her and just ultimately like manufacturing equipment that led to her sustaining a career-ending injury. A couple of weeks later, two more athletes kind of came on that lawsuit as well. So basically, they're alleging that the track spikes that they received from Puma, caused them to essentially be out of the track career, caused them to have to forcefully retire from the career. And I was thinking about this and I just wanted to kind of yap about it because I've been talking to other people about it, friends, families, associates, because they've been asking me personally. So I just wanted to make a video on it. But yeah, I would say that track and field spikes do cause injury. There you go. So like I said, you can click off the video if you want, but hold on. Just want to keep your attention for a bit. I don't think that is an issue that is really exclusive to Puma. And again, I've never worn any Puma gear. The only gear I've worn my entire career, Nike, Adidas. I don't even think I've ever even worn New Balance. So I am not probably the best person to critique Puma gear. However, I can speak on behalf of Nike and Adidas. There has been equipment that I've been provided that has actually, I feel like, caused me to have like a foot or ankle problem, right? Or even like hamstrings and stuff. The nature of a track and field spike itself is not really the best when you like really look at the science behind it. Like, yeah, it's meant to make you run faster, but at the same time, when you think about it, you're putting your foot in this very narrow, constricted, diabolical construct that looks like a quantum reactor or whatever. And yeah, you're probably going to sustain injury because that's not really the formula for anything. And I mean, I say that, but any like footwear, whatever, has the potential to cause an injury. So, for example, if let's say like you have a lady, she's wearing heels and she might twist her ankle in heels, is she going to sue the shoe company because she's wearing heels and she twisted her ankle? Now, maybe, I don't know, because I'm sure that situation's happened before. But at the end of the day, the point that I'm trying to make is that there's going to be certain things you wear, especially in sports, that is not going to protect you 100% and might even have you more predisposition to sustain an injury. And to me, I also kind of relate to football. Like, no football helmet is going to protect you 100%. So are you going to sue the helmet company or are you going to sue the NFL, which, as we've seen prior, former players, and I think maybe even I think it's just former players, are actually suing the NFL because of the CTE stuff going on, which I might make a video about that as well because I have a lot of thoughts with that. But beside the case, no equipment, especially in sports, is going to prevent injury 100%. Like, that's just insane. What I find very interesting about this, again, this is not an issue that's exclusive to Puma. I would say that most track spikes do like hurt people depending on the person because everyone's foot is different. So like, for example, I'm flat-footed, so there are times where I actually do have to put like little insoles in my running shoes. I'm trying to find insoles for my track spikes too. Sometimes I need them, sometimes I don't for the track spikes, but definitely for my running shoes I do need insoles because if I don't have insoles, then it does not matter the shoe. If I don't have insoles, my knees start hurting, my shins start hurting. So having those insoles actually helps me not get hurt. So again, it doesn't matter the shoe. It's just more so, yeah, it's me as a person, it's my body. So again, going back to even the lawsuit, I don't know how they would win. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think they will win. I think Puma is actually going to end up biblically smacking them in the court. And even before like the litigation process, usually in these situations, judges will go to both parties and be like, look, you guys need to figure this out. If you don't, we can go. I don't think it will even get that far. I really think, again, this is my opinion. I think that the case will ultimately be withdrawn because all three people that are suing Puma will soon realize that they don't have nearly as much money as a billion-dollar shoe company. And even if Puma is in the wrong, I don't think it would actually get to the litigation process. I just think Puma is probably going to try to drag it out to where they're just going to say, you know what, we throw in the towel. And let's say it does get to the litigation process. They would still have to prove 100% that the Puma spike caused the direct injury that they claim prevented them from continuing a track career. And then even with that, they would have to prove that the injury they sustained was truly career ending. Because there have been Achilles injuries, there's been people with bone spurs and like all other kind of injuries that have actually came back and ran phenomenal. So that, again, that's just one of the things that they would have to prove. And yeah, their medical history is probably going to be disclosed as well, which I'm not sure they really want that, because that also plays a factor in it too. And I know for one of the people involved, like they do have an extensive injury history. Again, not throwing them under the bus or whatever. Sometimes like that's just kind of like how the ball goes in the hoop. But again, these are things that Puma is going to argue if it gets to the litigation process. And that's why I just don't think like Puma is going to want to settle. And yeah, they're probably going to end up making an example out of them just in general, especially if it gets to the litigation process. Because if Puma settles, then they're basically admitting that, yeah, we messed up, our shoe is crap. Oh wait, all y'all want to sue us now? I don't think they're going to do that. They're not going to do that. So that's why I think if it really does get to the litigation process, Puma's just probably going to say, look, we are going to make an example of you. We're going to dry your assets out and we're going to make you throw in the towel. And I think that's ultimately how it's going to end. And again, I think it's sad. I don't wish injury on anybody because it is like a very difficult thing. A couple of years ago, I had surgery like repairing like my hernia and like even my abductor and stuff. And I still feel like I am slightly coming back off that surgery, that I had like 3 years ago. The point is, I understand it and I don't wish that on anyone because even the rehab process can be very exhausting to where you really question if you even want to continue. But again, I just think there's just so many factors in play that really they can't argue and say like, yeah, the injury I sustained was a direct result of wearing this company's specific shoe. I don't know how they'll do it. I mean, honestly, you got a better chance of throwing a Hail Mary to Darren Sproles with freaking, I don't know, Richard Sherman covering him. I don't know. So, we'll see. I'm very interested. I'm going to pay more attention to it. But, yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Those are my general thoughts. I'm probably going to start making, like, little videos like this. Just kind of, like, yapping, making, little comments and just giving my thoughts because people have asked me about this kind of thing. So, anyway, love you guys. I'll catch you on the next video. So, peace.